Fore plays Barstool Sports. We got Tiger Woods, okay? That's really the way that we should lead. That's what I woke up with this morning. That's what's all over every golf Twitter account in the world. It's the PNC Championship. So this very weekend, it's Tuesday now. Friday, Tiger Woods plays in a Pro-Am at 9 a.m. Saturday and Sunday, he plays tournament, air quotes tournament, little hit and giggle, but it is a televised golf event. He plays tournament golf Saturday and Sunday. We will see his game on TV live for the first time since last year, since the PNC last year. So it's been a full year, full circle. So we obviously got all that to look forward to. We've talked about it quite a bit. Not a lot has changed, but we're obviously going to talk about it a little bit more. And then we all had some big weekends, a lot of things going on. I had a full-fledged Vegas weekend, which I want to get to. I know Trent and Frankie brought home the first W ever at the new Islanders rink.
Yeah.
So we got plenty to get to. Owen's Mixers, okay. Get to that. I saw a little Transfusion Thursday popping up. Look at these boys smirking.
I mean, that yeah by Frankie was like, it was like he was a high schooler that was like super horny and didn't know what to say. And he just like, yeah, it was cool. Yeah.
Because it's just, we'll get into it, but it was just a funny night just seeing Trent in public and also at an Islanders game in my element. And speaking of that new arena, transfusions, Barstool Transfusions, Owen's Mixers, they're in that arena. Trent and I saw them, we drank them, we had transfusions.
Yep.
It's the official transfusion mix of UBS Arena. So shout out to Owen, shout out to the Islanders. But yeah, what a fantastic drink.
I know that I felt bad because a big part of the original Owens, chats working with Josh and the whole crew over there was how big they are in arenas. And then right after we announced the Owens deal, the whole world shut down and people weren't allowed in arenas for like 2 years. So I'm pumped that they're back. I thought they were probably at UBS, but I wasn't 100% sure. So it's nice to, to hear that. And again, it's just really simple. It's easier on the bartenders. It's easier on servers. When I see a cart person, shout out to Kisner, who's, whipping up drinks on the golf course and they've got these, they always rave about how much easier it is to put Owens in. So it'd be the same for you at home. Go to owensmixers.com. Go to GoPuff, go to Amazon, go wherever. Get Owens. I got a bunch of good flavors. Our favorite is the Transfusion, but we got the margarita mix and all kinds of good stuff. A little grapefruit and lime for the Paloma for all the big, large, lurchy fellows in the world. So yeah, big thanks to Owens. I'm going to start just with my little Vegas weekend. So first thing I want to say, we did 3 big events that were kind of, I guess all 3 kind of bucket lists. We did saw Nate Bargatzi perform live. He was unbelievable. Went to a Vegas Knights game and then saw Dierks Bentley. The first thing that I want to address is that when you move out west, Vegas becomes a completely different object in your life because every other place I've ever lived, St. Louis, Chicago, Connecticut, Boston, New York, spent a lot of time at Pinehurst. Vegas might as well be Australia, or it's at least like as far in your mind as LA, like going to Vancouver, like going to San Francisco. It's a serious full-fledged commitment. When you move to Arizona, it's a 30-minute flight to get to Vegas. It's a less than 4-hour drive if you want to go from Scottsdale. So it's much more prevalent where people are just like, hey, let's like pop over to Vegas. So we had this planned a couple weeks ago. It was like, hey, the Knights are in town. I know a couple guys that got season tickets to the Knights, put this whole thing together, popped up to Vegas. First thing we did, Nate Bargatzi. That guy, I cannot explain how awesome that guy is. I know Frankie just went through the whole Shea Mooney thing, and I was in like the whole experience. I was going through almost deja vu of exactly how you described it. Him and Shea are good friends. They play golf in Nashville. Of like, I just shot Nate a text at 9:30 p.m. on Thursday. I didn't even know he was in town. I saw him post on Instagram that he's playing Shadow Creek. Shot him a text like, hey, how'd you play at Shadow? And his response was, I'm doing a show tonight. Are you coming? And I was like, I didn't even know you're doing a show. He was going on at 10:15. Shoots us a text, 9:30. Hey, here's my tour manager's number. How many people you got? I was like, dude, we got like 7. I'm sorry. Like, don't worry about us. I don't want to be hassled. He's like, no problem. Hooks us up with seats. His dad goes on first. His dad was unbelievably funny and completely different than Nate. And he gives, he's doing his bit. And again, it was like so unique. It was different, which you're not surprised. You're kind of like, isn't that really his dad? What's going on? And then at the end, he literally started getting teary-eyed and just said, I can't explain to you guys how much it means to us, how much you support my son. And the whole place was just like, oh my God, like what are we getting in for? And then Nate comes out and he goes, yeah, that's not really my dad. And everybody's like, loses their mind. It was his dad. He was just doing like part of his whole bit and it goes into his thing. And the guy, like he doesn't curse once, okay? He doesn't use any vulgar language whatsoever. The other like 5 people that I was with, they didn't know who he was. They had never seen any of his Netflix special, whatever. They were cackling the entire time. And afterwards, we're like, I cannot fathom that guy just exists. And I didn't even know it because they were like, I'm obsessed with his Netflix special. He has us immediately, like we go in backstage afterwards, hang out with him for an hour. He tells us where he's going to go to the casino with a couple buddies. We hang out with him for like 2 hours and just the best night of all time. And really, like that was my first comedy show since COVID. And like the fact that people don't go to one of those every week, it's so good for your soul. It's so good for your life just to like laugh. Like there's nothing better probably on earth than just laughing. And for somebody to do it without making fun of anyone, like he does it almost at no one's expense, a lot of times just his own expense. He was doing all new material. So none of it was in any of his comedy specials. So it was like pretty damn new. And his stage manager was saying like, I guess his last special he did, which is around the time we probably had him on the show, was like whatever it came out March or something like that. And he's like, we did a show 2 weeks later and he showed up with 100% new material. And we all were just like, oh my God. So
awesome.
That guy, I know we've had him on the show. We've raved about him. Just a 15 out of 10, that guy.
Yeah, he so effortlessly does clean comedy that I watched. The Tennessee Kid was the first time I had heard of him and the first time I had watched his comedy. I probably watched it 4 times before I even realized that it was clean. Like it's just so funny and so good. Yes. You just realize you don't have to be vulgar to be funny. A lot of comedians are, and I love that comedy as well. But Bargatzi is really sort of in his own lane in that he doesn't swear. You're right. He doesn't really make fun of anyone but himself, sometimes his family members. But for the most part, he's making fun of himself. He is, if you haven't seen The Tennessee Kid, you have to watch it. It's on Netflix. I've watched it probably 30 times at this point. It is so funny. Yeah, I'm jealous that you got to experience, if we're being completely honest. That's awesome that you got to see him.
It's one of the best comedy specials on TV ever made, really. I mean, when you think about like what Trent just said, how he's able to piece it together and keep you engaged without talking dirty or using that type of language, which like we all love. Like to be completely honest, like I probably say the most curse words on any podcast on the planet. It's just the way I speak. But the fact that he's able to figure out a way to like describe the jokes and not have to have those punchlines be these dirty, crazy, like slap you in the face type words. Cause that's usually like the punchlines in most jokes. Like, fuck man, that guy is funny. He is so genuinely funny. The type of guy that would make you laugh just as hard on the golf course by playing with him as he would on the stage at a comedy show.
Just how good is a night of comedy? Like I think there's so many people out there that just haven't been to a comedy show before. And It is so damn good. Like it's just amazing. So if you're out there and Nate's around, go to him. If somebody else is around that's a good comic, like go to them. There's so much great comedy out there. Nate's obviously at the pinnacle of it. But it's just the best night ever. Like you just go there and you laugh for a couple hours. Like what is better than that on this planet? You know what I'm saying? It's amazing.
It's probably one of the best parts of New York City, honestly. You just stumble into a bar and there's 7 comics that half of them are probably really established comics and the other half are trying to make it. You find one that you've never heard of before and the guy blows you away, the gal blows you away, and you're like, holy shit, that guy was so funny. Let me go search him on YouTube. It's the greatest night. And you're at dinner, maybe drinks after, and you and your buddies are all talking about the jokes and you're trying to remember the punchlines. It really is just such a unique, fun night that I never think about to do, but then when you do it, you're like, man, we should be doing that all the time.
Right. Like I'm embarrassed by how the little amount of shows I've gone to in New York City. Like I've been here for 5 years and I have not gone to nearly enough comedy shows, and there's comedy everywhere in this city. And it just makes me think now that I got to go to more because it is really a fun night out.
And any given night, Jerry Seinfeld could just walk up on stage, or Louis C.K. or Bill Burr. They just show up.
Right. Frankie, I thought of you. I was scrolling through Instagram the other day, and there was a comic, and I wish I knew his name in this moment, but he's got this joke, and he's like, you think you're in America? Zoom out. You're on a space rock swirling through the...
I sent that to Trent.
That's Pete Holmes.
That's Pete Holmes. Okay. Oh, yeah. But like, he's Pete Holmes. Shout out Pete Holmes. Just a fantastic joke where it's like the zoom out. And that's why comedians are just beautiful minds in terms of, you think you're in America right now, zoom out is just, it encapsulates everything in just 2 words that you're like, yep, pull back. And now we're just on this space rock, just hurling through just nothingness. And he's like, nothing makes sense. Anyway, shout out Pete Holmes.
Dude, he's talking about how our molecules are the same as the molecules in a chair and the table. And then he's like, all right, sounds good. I'll never think about that again. Or something like that.
Dude, I saw Pete Holmes, speaking of going to shows, like 9 years ago. He came to Iowa City, and me and my buddy Dan, who also is a huge comedy fan, we went to the show and had such a good time. And we actually took a picture with Pete Holmes afterwards. You probably can't tell from that clip. He's like 6'8". He looks
well, he had a great show on HBO. It was called...
what was it called?
Oh, shoot.
Oh, come on.
Crashing.
Where he'd bring all these comics on. Honestly, it's not on anymore, but it's worth going back and watching the 2 seasons. Very good show. Good show.
Like a night out of comedy, Riggs, I saw on your Instagram, you're like, yeah, I just belly laughed and like my abs hurt after, because that's the way you leave it. Like I went to Bill Burr live show in Boston, and it was just nonstop. And Bill Burr is probably the best in interacting and just killing a crowd member. Like if somebody's just on him, I don't think there's somebody better in the business than Bill Burr of just like decapitating that person from the audience. And you leave it and you're like, I'm exhausted. I didn't work out, but like my abs, they're truly, I mean, yeah, sports games, concerts, all amazing. If you have not been to a live comedy show, it's a must go. It's a must go.
I saw Dan Soder in the back of a bar 2 months ago, and he made me laugh so hard that I almost puked at the table. I was drinking a beer, and he said a punchline to a joke where I actually couldn't contain myself. It was like one of those spit out your drinks type moments, and I almost puked. I was coughing for the rest of his joke. And I don't know that I'll ever get that moment again of pure panic. And like my body was overtaken with just whatever gets released when you laugh. My whole body was overflowing with it. I was overdosing on that.
Dude, our one buddy, Brett, that was with us, he was 2 seats over to me. And I checked on him 5 times because his head was down like this. Like he was laughing so hard that his head was like below the back of the seat in front of him. And I was like, is he? Oh, and he would like pop up and he was like crying, laughing the whole time. And he was just afterwards, he's like, I can't believe the experience. And I just was like, he experienced an exorcism of laughter the entire night. And it was just fucking fantastic. Beautiful. And it was to the point of like, when he was like, thank you, everybody, have a great, and we all looked up and we're like, was that 15 minutes? And we looked and it was an hour and like a half that he was up there doing his show. And it legit, you thought it went by in 15 minutes. So that guy is the best. And you're right. Like it's obviously when you live in New York, which is one of the best places in the world to live, if you're going to try to experience a comedy show, probably a lot easier. Like I'm thinking back to like St. Louis. I don't know what experiences you could possibly find in St. Louis, but if you hunt down like a top comedian, go check their schedule, go check their tour dates and get to a show if you don't live in a place like New York or whatever, because man, you are right. And it will change. Like you will start to make that a routine, a frequent occurrence for you and your date or your friends or whatever, because it's fucking so good how much it delivers. And they always deliver. It's not like they go up there and they're just not like a sports game where you go up and the Islanders lose 7 in a row. It's like they just deliver every time. Like it's going to be funny every time.
And they do go everywhere. Like growing up in Cedar Rapids, some of my favorite memories was going to comedy shows, like when the big acts would decide to come through Cedar Rapids. Like we saw Jim Gaffigan, Brian Regan, Jerry Seinfeld. Like these
you definitely
big
saw
names.
Dane Cook. You definitely saw Dane Cook roll through there in Cedar Rapids. No?
I never saw a Dane Cook show. I don't know if he ever came to Cedar Rapids. He probably went to Iowa City. That's more of a Dane Cook town. But but like when they go all over the country. They go on these huge tours. Look at Tom Segura's tour. Look at Burt Kreischer's tour now. You go through the dates, and I guarantee they're going to be somewhere within at least like an hour of you, and you have to go and just experience it for all the reasons that we're talking about.
Burt Kreischer played in Green Bay. If he's playing in Green Bay, they'll play anywhere.
I think he played in Cedar Rapids too.
Yeah.
Bargatzi was in Cedar Rapids.
Was he?
Yeah, because he went to the home of golf, St. Andrews, where the course I grew up on.
I will say I like that he mixed a little bit of golf into his routine, and it was so good. He had a little bit about like finally playing with his wife and like bringing his wife out there. And he's like, and he goes through the whole thing about how tee times and how like tee times aren't like, a haircut or something where it's kind of like, hey, she's like, no, tee time is like, we got to tee up. And he's like, so, our tee time's 11:06. And it's like, it's 11:04. We're driving to the first tee, and she's like, all right, I got to hit the bathroom, and I want to grab, a drink. And he's like, no, like, we got to be there at the time. And she's like, well, how about I just like drop you off? And he's like, okay. So he's like, she just drops me off with just my driver. And he's like, little did I know I would play the first 4 holes with just my driver. And he's like, I can't tell you what it feels like when the people behind you are looking at you and you're just blading shots back and forth over the green with just your driver. And you're thinking, what are they thinking about me? And where the fuck is my wife? I mean, obviously he didn't have to say fuck because he's more talented than I am, but he was able to work everything in. And then he jumps from, he also doesn't do necessarily a linear story, right? He does so many different topics and transition from one to the other. God, it's just takes an enormous amount of talent. So check out
so great.
His shit on Netflix and wherever you can find his, and go find out if he's going to be anywhere near you. Okay, I want to get to more of the trip. I got to get to Blenders Eyewear first. Sliding season is finally here. Blenders Eyewear has all the fresh gear your head needs to get down on the slopes. We're talking a little skiing, shredding the gnar. Blenders' new snow collection is cleaner, colder, and more colorful than ever with 3 lines of goggles, extra lenses, helmets, and beanies. Blenders is hooking you up with good vibes all winter. It is true. You got to have good goggles. If you go skiing, I know Lurch's a big skier as well. You get out there and you got bad goggles, your day's over.
It's over.
Oh, you can't see anything in front of you. You can't tell like the differences in the snow in front of you. So you just ski like a total jerk off the entire time. You want to try to ski it well. It's dangerous. You can't see anything. If you just lose your sight basically for the whole day,
it's a
can't
zero.
have that.
Also, I'm looking at on Blenders Eyewear right now. They got the Roaring Legend, which has replaceable lenses. So for the skiers out there, you get a bluebird day, you get a snowy day. You got to have the right lens because visibility is massive. You also get the guy that's got it's like a cloudy day and they have, crazy glasses that are just full tint. They can't see anything. Then they like hit a little bump in the snow and it's just a double unbuckle and they're just eating it in the snow. So it's good to have good eyewear out there.
I feel like you guys are speaking a different language right now.
Yeah.
Dude, I'm telling you, Trent.
What's a bluebird day?
So bluebird is just super sunny day on the slopes where there's no cloud coverage. So it'd be like a super sunny day where you want to have, a dark lens, right? So you can still see the mountain. But then on a cloudy day, you want to have a really light lens so you still have a ton of visibility. And so now good eyewear, you can replace those lenses so you can have good visibility on different days.
So Trent, you can get you're skiing, right? It's a dangerous. People die skiing,
fast.
So it's you obviously want to be pretty. You want to be pretty locked in terms of being able to see things properly. And you can get a day like Lurch is saying, especially on the dark side, like where you have kind of a dark lens and then it's kind of a dark cloudy day, and all of the snow just looks like a shadow, basically, like a consistent shadow, but it's just not. There's bumps and there's little, ravines kind of snow drifts and banks, and you just can't ski the whole day. You're just trying not to die the whole day instead of enjoying yourself.
Right. You go to this tentative skier that's like, I just hope we get down the slopes each and every time, because there's also no, like, you can't take off your glasses, like your sunglasses either, or your goggles rather. Because if you do that, it's just so cold that your eyes basically pretty much freeze up. And depending on, if it's a snowy day or whatever. So goggles are vital. Blenders Eyewear, they got great goggles. You should check them out.
To score 15% off Blenders purchase, visit blenderseyewear.com/foreplayvip. That's blenderseyewear.com/foreplayvip. That's one word, FOREPLAYVIP for 15% off. Blenders, rocked with pride worldwide. It is crazy to think about. I mean, we're going up into one of the most turbulent places on earth. Like, you're just up on mountains. Like, they used to just not travel across the country in the wintertime because you had to go across the Rocky Mountains and your whole village would die. And we just are like, yeah, let's go up there and have a good time. And it's pretty turbulent up there. So
dude, I just watched the Netflix documentary, The Alpinist.
I almost watched it last night.
Wow, bro. Wow. Marc-Andre Leclerc, I believe that's the name, just scales these mountains. And I know we've all seen Free Solo. You've seen the videos on YouTube of guys climbing mountains like Spider-Man, completely, unhinged and completely just not connected to any sort of rope or any sort of whatever. This guy does this as well, but he does a mixture of wall and also snow. So you'll watch him climb this mountain with these ice picks, and these ice shoes, right? Like you've seen the ones where like they dig into the snow, like the edges of the fucking boot has these 3 little picks.
Yeah, for
Bro,
sure.
he's climbing fucking mountains with those things. And with these two ice picks and finding little crevices on this mountain, and you just and there's no music in the documentary during these parts. It's just the natural noise of him searching with the ice pick, rattling around the mountain, and then he finds something that he thinks is gonna fucking hold. And the next minute is like, is he really gonna put all his weight on that ice pick and pull himself up and find a new spot? And to the point where I stood up from my bed and I watched it with my hands up like this, like, oh shit, shit. Because you really don't know how that's going to end. Like, maybe the fucking documentary has him just falling. You know what I mean? You have no idea.
Oh, yeah, because if you watch the free solo ones, it's that guy, Alex Honnold, I believe is his name, who's like the big one that they follow. He has, like all of his friends are dead.
Right.
Almost all of them.
Not crazy. Right.
So it's like, it's really pretty. It's more common, which makes it that much more horrifying.
And he's in this one talking about how crazy Marc-Andre is.
That's nuts.
How he would never do any of the stuff he's doing. I'm telling you right now, I've recommended a lot of things on this podcast. I've recommended DMA's, the music group, the band. I've recommended Molly's Game, amazing movie. I'm now recommending.
I gotta get around to that.
Trent refuses to watch it. I'm now recommending The Alpinist. I still don't know if I'm saying that correctly.
It's probably The Alpinist. Alpinist sounds a little ridiculous.
Like alpine skiing, right? So that's what you think.
No, I know, but
Alpinist. It's got to be
soften
Alpinist.
words when you become,
When I came across it on Netflix, I thought, I don't know how to say that word out loud.
I mean, you don't say pianoist, you say pianist.
You say
That's
pianist.
great. Speaking of pianists,
Yeah.
You should watch
Penis?
Son of a Woman.
no. To go back to last show when we talked about, was it Mozart?
Yes.
Yep.
I don't think we gave Mozart enough credit. I got a lot of DMs. I'm sure you guys got the same. Some of them were being congratulatory to me, saying thank you for sticking up for such a figurehead in the music industry and the world of music. You finally said something correct on the podcast that Mozart was in fact talented at playing music because he had this mind, and he was also a choreographer of music, right? So what we didn't say, though, was that he was maybe one of the best pianists of all time. Like, we were kind of dancing around the fact that maybe he didn't play an instrument. People are saying, if you go back and read, like, the literature of Mozart and listen to all the compositions that he wrote, he was able to figure out these fucking crazy piano, I don't know what the word you would, are they sonnets?
That sounds
Sure.
right.
Are they sonnets?
I don't know.
Sonnets.
Sure.
The point being that
Did you see the
we were
Beethoven?
sleeping-
Did you see
Yes.
the Beethoven thing? I mean, if you need you out there listening, you need a reference point for
Yes.
how good this shit is. This thing that went viral on Twitter that I found, and coincidence, I don't know, it just stumbled upon this person playing Beethoven's music that he composed and wrote, playing the music, and it's just a bird's eye view of the piano with the sonnets or notes or whatever coming across like in Rock Band 2
Yes.
above it. It is
Well
the
said.
most
It looked like Rock
shocking
Band.
and impressive thing I've ever seen in my life. Like this, it looked like it had to be a computer generated person playing this, and it was just a human with their fingers, and it's like for 2 minutes straight, they just hit note after note after note that are not hittable. Like you need like 37 fingers to do it, and they're just doing it. It's like you won't believe how talented they have to be.
super impressive to write that, but it's so much and such a clusterfuck that it's way more impressive to play it. I'm sure there are these musical minds and geniuses that would say, how the fuck are you able to come up with that with that composition and like, be able to figure out all those notes and have it be one amazing piano piece? I physically watched that and I physically couldn't understand how it made me sick. I got nauseous watching it.
But then when you actually create the music, you got to figure out what's possible. Like, you know what I mean? You're pushing these people to like the max performance based on how many keystrokes they're actually able to hit. You know, like it is, I think both sides are wildly impressive. And I would
think
argue,
at some point,
think
yes.
the data would say that it's way harder to write the music because a lot of people can play it. Less people can write it.
I guess just because my brain is so wired to our generation of music where everything has to have like a melody, and that to me is writing a song. I think of that. I think of the 70s and the 60s and the 30s, and you know what I mean? Like, I think of actually writing a song. I couldn't wrap my head around that being an impressive song to write as opposed to like a very impressive thing to be able to play, if that makes any sense. I don't know. It's just it's not my taste in music, listening to classical piano bullshit.
I guess what I would say is like being able to write it and then also play it is clearly you're a savant. You are a genius. And to go to something similar where someone in that field is on just a pure genius level is I started watching Get Back. Is that what it's called? The Beatles documentary is on HBO Max.
Oh.
I mean, Paul McCartney in that thing is the biggest wizard. And he's speaking a different language. He's a different species, a different creature. The way that he sits there and just invents music that becomes iconic. When they go through, I think it's towards the end of episode 1, when they're just riffing and creating Let It Be, it gives you the chills. It makes you feel like such a lesser human being that, you know, if a golfer hits a golf shot, it could be amazing. But like we all talk about how you can hit that one shot and come back. Every single thing that Paul McCartney and the whole crew is doing when they just invent these iconic songs, even them breathing seems unachievable to me. And they're putting it all together and creating this magic in this room and doing it in a couple of days. Probably the most impressive fucking thing I've ever seen.
Yeah, I wish we had a documentary for every single album they wrote.
Yes.
Bro, you know what's crazy about that? And I looked it up the other day that at that time, Paul McCartney's 27 years old.
Yeah.
Feels like he's a 55-year-old weathered.
He looks it because he's got the beard and he's got the hair. But like I was trying to think of like how old are these guys when they're doing all this stuff? And you're thinking that, oh, now the Beatles are coming to an end, so they got to be in their mid-30s. Yeah. They're not even in their late 20s when that's going down.
I love them all, man.
It's crazy.
Sweet Loretta was a frying pan, whatever they say right before.
And you're just watching
Sweet
Lennon
Loretta
and
thought she was a
McCartney.
cleaner, but she's just a frying pan.
It's all just, right, George, even their fights, they're so chill in their fights. When they're fighting with each other, they're talking nicer to each other than we ever speak to one another.
There's also a great part that you're probably not to yet, Riggs, or you might be. I don't know how much you watched, where some guy writes like a scathing, like all the Beatles are breaking up soon and they've had fist fights and all that stuff. And they like make a song to it. Well, like Paul McCartney reads it out loud to the group and they're jamming to it. It's fucking
they're
awesome.
Jamming. And he's like, the Beatles will never be the same. And he has the newspaper up like he's reading it to the fucking Vatican.
So good.
Dude, when you're watching it, it feels like you're watching a reenactment of it. Like there's no way that could be the footage of the actual guys. The
way I described it to Robbie was it feels like a huge Beatles fan discovered a time machine and was able to go back and set up cameras in that studio to capture the making of that album. Because if you're just there, you're just in the camera as another person in that room, and the footage is you just watching them.
Yeah. At one point, they almost do a drone shot, it feels like. They do like a circular shot around the whole operation, and you're like, what? What is this? Did somebody create them in like a sim game and they're giving us footage that clearly does not exist? Almost like I felt about when we discovered my brother's hole-in-one footage on a live photo like 2 months after it happened. When you're like, nobody recorded that. That's not possible. We get it. Thank you, God, or a higher power or somebody for just providing this footage that didn't exist, that only you as the superior power could possibly have witnessed and filmed. It's like that the entire time, and it's so cool. It's so good. But it reminds me again when they're sitting there just kind of riffing and inventing these songs, that genius, that level was similar to when I witnessed the Beethoven, playing of the Beethoven.
There's people out there that don't like the Beatles, which I guess is similar to me saying I don't understand or like Mozart's fucking type of music. I guess it's that same connection where the people at Mozart's time are probably thinking, how can anyone not like this guy's music? He's out of this planet. He's otherworldly. Look at these things that he's creating. And for me, I'm saying that the same thing about the Beatles, and people really just, I don't know, there's a disconnect there where they just don't there's a lot of them like they like Led Zeppelin more, they like Pink Floyd, and like they'll say they're not a real rock band and they were glorified boy band and the whole thing. And I just think you're looking too much into it, which I guess is condescending from what I was just saying about Mozart, but the fucking Beatles are the Beatles.
I mean, I'm not the biggest Beatles fan in the world, but you're wrong if you say they're not interesting. Like, they're dynamic, what they meant to the culture, like everything about them.
Yeah.
The head of the band got assassinated after they wrote how many songs in what was it? 5 years really as a band? When were
hundreds of phenomenal
That was
songs.
the fascinating. That's actually what got me hooked on them in terms of like trying to figure out more about them was how short their run was. Because you think that their run was decades long and they've been at it forever, but you find out it's basically from 1960 to 1969 at most.
Right.
It's a very short span.
I will say, too, that I've been caught up before in thinking that they are, like Frankie said, sort of a glorified boy band, that they really were almost a surface level band that just got lucky in the right time and really good management and branding. And I guess what you really learn through this is how talented and conscious of musicians they actually were. Like Paul McCartney and them talking about how they don't want to be lame. They don't want to be corny. They want this, like, and they'll go for 10 minutes on this one chord and how it needs to be like an E versus a G because that's a little too corny. Do that again, and they're fucking grinding over every little detail of their music. Someone isn't just handing them really well-written songs. They're paying that person off, and then they go out there with some really good technology, good marketing, a decent voice, and become icons. Like, they were just writing and creating music that was also very different, like Sgt. Pepper versus like Let It Be. Like, these songs are so fucking different from one another. And whether you love the Beatles or not, I do think when you watch the actual documentary, like how their sausage was made is infinitely different than, I guess, like even my perception of them as sort of this surface level boy band.
Definitely.
They're awesome. They're fucking Beatles.
There's a video that Robbie Fox sent me once that showed, because one of the people, probably my favorite part of the whole documentary is Ringo just sitting there and being Ringo. And then everyone always shits on Ringo for being a very simple, simplistic type drummer, where he doesn't add too much to the band and he's just kind of going along. But the real drummers and musicians, they do understand how fucking good Ringo Starr is at the drums, one of the best of all time, just because of he created his own style of drumming. Like, that simplistic style of drumming in that type of music is the Ringo style. And there's a video on TikTok, I think it was, of the guy saying, you think Ringo Starr is just this, like, ho-hum drummer that the Beatles just happened to make really famous because they were friends with them. But watch so he plays a song and says, this is what Ringo could have done. And he plays it really simple. And he goes, and this is what Ringo did. And when he does the really simple beat and then the beat that Ringo chose to choose, it's fucking mind-blowing. You'll hear a song that you've heard your whole life. And you can't believe how intricate the fills are and how perfectly timed the bell of the ride cymbal was hit, and it's fucking nuts. And when you watch Get Back, you realize when you're doing that shit live, dude, they're playing those live. That recording, all that recording is live. It's not dubbed over. It's not, cut and redone. So with all these fills, like, Ringo has to just fucking hit them, man. He's keeping time. He's got the metronome in his brain. Wow.
And Frankie, I have this right, that like they're playing their versions of these songs, and they're fresh, they're brand new, and they don't give him anything on the drums, right? He just creates the drum, complements that should go with what they're doing, right?
It's just kind of listening to it, and he's going along, and they'll tell him when the breakdowns are, when a fill should come in, but it's all just feel, man. It literally just pours out of him. Should you go to the hi-hat? Should you go to the ride? Should you go to the crash? Should you go, maybe you do something different, like you're on the tom-toms, or, I mean, wow.
It's a talent.
You listen to Under Pressure, so cool. and it's just, it's stunning. Like, dum 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 dum, the way he goes from the toms to the floor toms, like, most people would just go dum dum da dum 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 da, but fucking Ringo thought this crazy thing on the tom toms and the floor toms, and it's the most iconic fucking sound ever. God, I love that band.
Hell yeah, dude.
They're great.
Yeah.
All right, we got more Vegas stuff I want to talk about real quick. So the Vegas Knights game, the second part of it was Friday night. Been a bucket list thing as a big hockey guy, not a hockey podcast, but Vegas knew in the last 4 years, clearly they do it differently than everybody else. They got, a whole like Cirque du Soleil show that goes on pregame and all that, which was extremely cool. Everybody's right about that. One of the main aspects of what makes the Vegas Knights game so cool, if you haven't been to one, make sure you get to one, is nobody drives to the game. So like the atmosphere is awesome because every person there comes from one of the casinos. They walk there with a drink in their hand down the street. They walk into the stadium and they are ready to go. They've been going throughout the entire day. There's no real corporate aspect to it. There's almost no family aspect to it even. It's almost similar to, a college rink or stadium or arena that has like enormous fan or student representation instead of like alumni. That's what it felt like because everyone again is there almost acting like a college student who's been drinking, partying, hanging out. They don't have to worry about driving or being responsible. They just fucking walk to the arena from wherever they're at or the rink, and then they walk out afterwards. There's a really cool like bar sort of area that complements the seats where people are standing and hanging. If they're not in their seats, you don't have to necessarily go back into like the concourse and disappear. So the whole atmosphere around the Vegas Knights game delivered and was, one of the cooler experiences that I've had in terms of going to a hockey game. I imagine like the new Islanders rink is probably pretty fucking awesome too. Just a modern building out of rinks instead of sort of the old school ones.
New barns are always fun to see though. It's like any new barn that you go into is awesome, I think.
I'll say this. Well, I want to make a comment on what you just said. So I don't want to sound like a Jeff Shackelford old dinosaur where you have to put me in a home and wheel me to the window, but everything you're describing is not a passionate fan base, right? Like they're getting away with having an unbelievable experience because of it being Vegas, right? So you're missing out on when you compare it to a college rink, you're getting that atmosphere at a college rink because those kids live and breathe that logo and that school, and they want to party and see a win and they want to celebrate a championship. You got the Vegas Golden Knights are getting a lot of that because they're getting cheers and chaos out of you, like a St. Louis Blues fan who's there on a vacation who just wants to be a part of the party. And that's very unique to any other sport, any other arena in all sports.
What I would say though is that what I think is pretty much consistent throughout the entire NHL is that like the top ring, the 300 level seats are all diehard fans. Those are the cheaper seats. They got jerseys on. They're going crazy. And that's 100% full and 100% exciting. I think if you go to almost any rink in the entire league, it's that way. And usually the bottom bowl is a little bit more corporate. They're more expensive. They're not quite as like passionate. They might not be full because it's a lot easier for those people to just not show up to the game or choose not to go because they got them through work or whatever. I thought that whole level was full of people like us that were going through like the Vegas experience, didn't mind spending a few $100 because you're gambling at the tables anyways. And so I thought you had a little bit of both. You're right in that like, fine, the Vegas, they're not as passionate or old school, whatever, as like Toronto Maple Leaf fans, but they're a brand new franchise. Like, of course, they're not going to have that history and that passion. So I thought you got a little bit of both. It's clearly going to be different. I guess what was really cool is that they leaned into knowing what's going to make their thing special and aren't trying to be, the Detroit Red Wings in terms of, original six team. They're like, no, we're fucking Las Vegas. Let's lean into Las Vegas. And so it's different. It's not going to be like an Islanders game. An Islanders game is not going to be like a Blues game. Everything's going to be different. Vegas wasn't trying to just be like an original six franchise. They were clearly, this is Las Vegas. This is Sin City. And they're doing it their way. And it just worked, I thought.
Yeah, no, I like that. As long as they're not trying to be what they're not and they're accepting the fact that, because every single person that I know that's gone to that game has the same reaction as you. Like, you wouldn't believe the atmosphere. It's a show on the ice. Every person I've heard that from is a fan of another team. I've never heard of so many fans going to an opposing stadium and having so much fun and not even caring what's on the ice. Like, you don't care who's playing. Golden Knights versus the fucking Kraken. All my buddies have gone. They've all gone to random games and they've come back with the same reaction. It's amazing, which I love. I love that for hockey. I think that's awesome. I just hope that it doesn't get compared to, because like the Islanders don't even have that. Like, we don't have that fucking all-time historic fan base that shows up. Like the Montreal Canadiens, when you show up that's the reaction. Like when you go to a Canadiens game and it's just hockey, that's that all-time, what the fuck is my team doing? We should be doing this. This is all-time stuff. And I just don't want that to be compared because I feel like Vegas is getting up there with like best experience in sports.
But it's also in, I'd almost compare it to like the Waste Management Phoenix Open versus the Masters, right? Like it's going to be
comparison.
A wildly different experience, but the Phoenix Open isn't trying to be the Masters, right? They're not trying to do pimento cheese sandwiches. They're doing like throw beers at players after they tee off on 16, and that's fine. So I sort of, again, looked at it that way, and like you can't have the Montreal Canadiens environment because hockey is part of the culture in Montreal.
Right.
It's not part of the culture in like Las Vegas, Nevada. And so, I did think they did a good job, I guess, of not trying to be something that they're not and just going all in on what they can be. But you're right. It's not going to compare. And like, if you're a diehard hockey person on Twitter who's part of hockey Twitter who thinks people shouldn't like your sport because they don't understand fucking offsides, right? Or whatever, then like you're going to enjoy a Montreal Canadiens game probably more than you're going to enjoy a Vegas Knights game. But I think for the average person, they leaned in the proper amount.
Yeah, no, that's a good explanation. I got to get there for a game. And I don't know that I'd see an Islander game. See, like, it's the same thing with my buddies. Like, I think I'd just go see any game, get absolutely shit-faced, go back to the casino after, and it was just a great night. It's like seeing a show. It's like seeing a comedy show. It's a night out. We took Trent, speaking of arenas, we took Trent Daddy to UBS. Beautiful arena. We hadn't had a win leading up to that, so kind of a weird atmosphere inside. Dark cloud over the Islanders this year. Just can't figure it out. Some crazy shit's happening. Something's in the water, but we needed a spark. We needed a plug. So we brought Trent and that good positive energy. We brought him down to the glass. He was 3 rows off the ice on the blue line, and he just got in the mix. And we had all you can eat and drink in the Dime Club. And Trent Daddy's walking around eating prosciutto sandwiches and fucking pulled pork and pizza and stuffing his fucking pockets with candy. It was a hell of a night, and the Islanders got a win. They beat the Devils. Trent is such a good viewer of the game of hockey, which I didn't know. It was surprising to me. I mean, you have Iowa, you have a minor league hockey team in Iowa, so you know the game. But
Shout out to the Rough Riders,
bro, like rushes, like 3-on-2 rushes. He's like getting up and the defense stepping up and intercepting a pass. He's like giving them a clap. He knew the game. When the puck was and I'm keeping tabs on all this stuff when I go to games with people. Just
I can imagine.
I'll be honest. This is the first time hearing of this, so I'm hearing my own report card read back to me.
When a puck is when the puck is iced down the rink, Trent's already like halfway when it's coming down. Trent's already looking at his phone because he knows there's going to be a whistle. You know what I mean? Like he's anticipating the game.
Good.
He wasn't waiting.
What do you give the kid for a grade?
Oh my God, I'm giving him an A-, and the only reason
what if they would have lost?
Yeah,
what if they would have lost? What if they would have lost?
The only reason I'm not giving him an A+ is because I think that's as high as you could possibly go. I want to leave some room. It's almost like the Dave Portnoy pizza review scale. You can't give the guy an A+ in the first experience. Like he went as high as he could get for first experiences.
Well done.
Does he have to go to every game now? Does he have to go to every game now?
Well, what'd you think, Trent? I want to hear your thoughts on this.
I mean, I had a great time. I'll go to a game anytime you want to go to a game, anytime I'm invited to a game. I had a really good time. I mean, the Dime Club was an experience that I was not expecting. Frankie texted me like Saturday morning being like, hey, I've got these tickets. We're going to go. Do you want to go to the game? And I had nothing else going on. As I've talked about a lot on this podcast, I don't leave my apartment all that much on the weekends. I like to just hang out and do nothing. But I really weighed my options in terms of
how badly did you want to say no? I feel like you were really close to being like, no.
I was very close to saying no. And then I was like, what am I actually doing today? That like, if I'm going to give Frankie a reason, because I didn't want to just say no, like, what am I going to say?
I'm back in the court.
Right. And I played it in my mind. I came up with nothing. And I was like, why not? Like live hockey actually is a lot of fun. I went to a lot of Rough Riders games back in Cedar Rapids. It's a hell of an experience. I've only been to, I think, one other professional hockey game. I went to a Rangers game with Gaz when I first moved to New York. But I was like, let's just go. I'll just go and it'll be fun. And then after I said yes, Frankie was like, by the way, we got unlimited food and drink, so we're going to have ourselves a night. And that was just a great cherry on top. And
that was strategic by me, by the way. I
those
asked
clubs
him,
are incredible.
Well, I asked him if he wanted
the Delta Club at MSG is off the chart, so I assume this is the same thing where you have
asked him if
seafood, candy, anything under the sun.
I asked him if he wanted to go to the game before letting him know we had access to the club, just to see if he actually wanted to see the hockey game.
Yes.
I was with my fiance. I'm like, we're going to bring Trent to the game tonight, I think. And I'm like, let's see if he actually wants to go to the game first. Because if I say, hey, Trent, we have this all-you-can-eat access, he's basically going for dinner. You know what I mean? Right. He's not coming for the game. So he locked in on the game.
It was just a human with their fingers, and it's like...
Right, he came in for the game with a cherry on top. It's all you can eat prosciutto, all you can eat popcorn, the whole deal. So, and dude, I'll pump the tires, and we'll get off this topic after this. I'll pump the tires at UBS for a second. It's like that chaser thing that you're talking about, but the way that they did it at the UBS Arena, basically the whole bowl on one side of the rink, from face-off dot to face-off dot, and the whole 100 section, they all have access to this main concourse at the top of their seats, right? So I'm talking the whole thing from face-off dot to face-off dot, and it's all you can eat. So you're basically walking around this massive concession stand area, and there's thousands of people, and everyone's eating for free. Now, obviously, people pay for it, right? Like, the tickets are probably a little more expensive. A lot of them are season tickets, so they're, like, built into there. But they do not skimp out on the food, man. Shrimp pasta with shrimp scampi and steak. I mean, they're cutting steak, like thin slices of steak, and giving you New York strip. And I'm like, man, like, there's thousands of people in here getting this access. So they've done a really good job of bringing the casual fan a really high-end experience, I think, at UBS, because I don't think it's that expensive to get in there. So really cool. We got a W. We're back on track. And dude, I'll say this. Trent was a fucking star, not only in the crowd, but the players. All because we were sitting pretty fucking close. It's hard to not see us. Like, I know they're professional athletes and there's 18,000 people there, but like, we're right in their face at some point. So like, my buddies, like me and Brock are pretty tight. Like, a couple of the other guys, and like after the game, they're like immediately texting me. A couple of the guys on the team saying like, Trent Daddy's an Isles fan, love it. Like, I didn't even have to tell them that Trent was at the game. They're looking at Trent when they're taking face-offs, and maybe like the puck went out of play, and they're looking around. They see Trent sitting there fucking clapping and sipping on an ice cold Coca-Cola. Man, it was just a great night. It was a great night.
It was a really great experience. And going into the third period, after the second period, they bring out cookies. They switch up the menu, and they just bring out more cookies than you can even fathom. And you go up there and you fill your plate. They got it's the coldest Coca-Cola I've ever had in my entire life. Something about they give it to you in it's all you want, so you self-serve, but it's in these like aluminum cups, and they're just ice cold. And again, it was just a really fun experience. One of my main takeaways is that Zdeno Chara is the biggest human being on the planet.
Yeah.
Like I've
especially
obviously
on skates.
I've heard how big he is and all that, and I forgot that he played for the Islanders. I'm not that big of a hockey guy, but as soon as I saw him, I could not believe how massive he was. But the whole experience, I'm glad I went. That's what always ends up happening. Go back to the Russian bathhouse. Like, that's another thing where I said I'm going to say no right at the last minute, and then you end up going and having a great time. Going to the UBS Arena was the same experience. Frankie was like, you should come. I went, had a great time, and I can't wait to do it again.
And he saw Chara fight too. He saw Chara fight right in front of us.
That guy's face off. Yeah, I mean,
you can't.
As he could be. I was running around Boston one time, and I was just running. I mean, probably really slow, but then I saw this like kind of like
you were actually running. You were literally running.
It was kind of a run walk, but anyways,
such a Boston
thing. Those knees, ears.
I saw this like gangly kind of like tall, like just big dude like reach down. And then I got closer to him, and it was just Zdeno Chara, and he was like reaching down for his kid, and he stood up, and I was like, oh, you are just a Hulk of a man. And I think also when he was with the Bruins, he would always win like the pull-up challenge. Like, that guy is a physical specimen. To be that big and skate with these NHLers, like he's the Shaquille O'Neal of the NHL. Like, he is so wildly impressive as just an athlete. I mean, certainly he's past his prime, but and he's also just not to be messed with. I think he's only fought a couple times in his career, and every time he just decapitates the other person.
Do you feel overwhelmed when it comes to handling personal finances? You are not the only one. Credit Karma is here to help you with those big calls with more confidence. Yes, we are definitely idiots when it comes to finances. We've known that. We've talked about that aplenty. Whether you're refinancing credit card debt or paying for an upcoming expense, Credit Karma uses your credit data to show you fresh personal loan offers that are personalized to you specifically. Completely free, easy to sign up for a Credit Karma account, no effect on your credit score, making it simple to search for the right personal loan for you. Credit Karma will even show you your approval odds so you can choose offers that you are more likely to get approved for and apply with more confidence. On Credit Karma, you can check out multiple loan offers side by side. Members who compare loan offers on Credit Karma save an average of 30% on interest rates, okay? I'm going to say that again. Members who compare loan offers on Credit Karma save an average of 30% on interest rates. Ready to apply? Head to creditkarma.com/loan offers to see personalized offers with your approval odds right now. That is creditkarma.com/loan offers to find the loan for you. Again, that is creditkarma.com/loan offers. Go check them out right now. Last thing I did was we saw Dierks Bentley, country artist. You don't know who he is. And it was great. He was really good. I'd never seen him before. He's got a lot of big time songs. People love him. He's and he was there. There was a whole rodeo going on in town, so it was a big kind of country theme all over the place. What I didn't know, I wasn't fully up on my Dierks Bentley, is dude at the end of his show, and he's done this very, very frequently. I think this has like its own Instagram account. His band and him turn into a pop punk band.
What?
Like. They literally go, he does this whole thing. He did this little bit at the end where he's like, all right, guys, and, there's a lot of country stuff going on, so it's really, really hard to book venues, and we got in touch with this really small band that they couldn't find anywhere else to play, so we figured, why the hell not? We're going to give them this opportunity. They run off stage. They go change into, like, 90s rock, like, band stuff, like, hilarious, Nike windbreakers that are like neon, and then they come out and they literally turn into a parody 90s rock band. They become pop punk, and they do that for like 30 minutes of singing parody songs and being like a joke of themselves. And it was laugh out loud funny. And I was just like, they're just pop punk. Like they literally became pop punk at the end of their show.
And they probably slayed too.
Oh my God. It was so good. I have like videos of it. I wasn't sure how to like portray it properly. And again, people that are hardcore like Dierks Bentley fans, I'm sure understand and know that this is a big thing that they've done, I'm sure, forever. But literally like this country star, okay, they turn into this at the end.
It's a little hard to see, but
yeah, this will be good for an audio.
It's a little
look at them.
Oh yeah. I can see it
now.
And they're like, their whole background is like a mock rock 90s, early 90s, like country rock band. And it was really, really good. It reminded me of pop punk, got me all jacked up. So you need to do a little bit of research into that, Frankie, because I mean, it was you guys. It was just you guys on stage. They were doing like, they were just mocking everything about even themselves. And they changed, one of his, and I wrote this down where, he did this whole thing, and he was really good. Dierks was phenomenal. I'd heard actually a little bit of mixed things about Dierks Bentley live, and I even had a couple of people when I posted things being like, he's terrible live, so I didn't really know what to expect going in. He was really, really, really good. He was incredibly invested. He did this whole thing on, the Vegas shooting, and that was obviously around country, and I believe he was performing that during that entire thing. So he did a part dedicated to the first responders and to everyone that was affected in the Vegas shooting. And it's his song like Riser, and it's very emotional. And then the pop punk band, they're so committed to the mock band that he did a mockery of that. And it was called out to everyone who's on the Pfizer. And it was all about like Viagra is owned by Pfizer. And so Riser and like the Viagra thing. So literally went like full other way and fully committed to this hilarious, like pop punk type band. And so he covered such a wide spectrum, performed like two or 3 hours. And he and his band were just absolutely excellent. And they hit all the feels from, again, like really intense, dedicated to obviously a horrible tragedy, to making you laugh out loud up there with their whole crew. So Dierks Bentley was awesome too.
Dierks Bentley, man. Yeah, he's a powerhouse performer for sure. I've never seen him, but you look at his streaming numbers and the whole deal. I mean, that guy puts asses in the seats.
What a weekend for Riggsy Boy. That is Now, you said it was a 30-minute flight, too. Did I saw Dustin was there. Did he scoop you from Scottsdale, or what was the transportation system? Because he is a pilot.
Have you guys heard of JSX?
No.
So JSX is a no free ads, but they're like a really small. I think it was like the JetBlue founder. Somebody from JetBlue founded JSX, and they're basically really small planes that have their own private little terminal, and you pay like a little bit more than you would for a Southwest flight, or even pretty simple. And they fly like Scottsdale to Phoenix to Vegas.
So is it like
Phoenix
Cape Air,
to like a couple
kind
different
of
places?
You know, like Cape Air in like the New England area that kind of flies out to like, I don't know, Vineyard and things like that.
I've never done Cape Air, but like, so I think the JSX flight had 30 seats maybe total. You show up to a private terminal. You literally like, you walk in, you go through no security. You walk in and they check you in, you give them your ID, check you in really quickly. You need to be there 15 minutes before your flight. And it's basically a private experience, but you know, it's like there's 25 other people on a private jet with you, essentially, that you don't know. Is kind of what it felt like the whole time. So we took that. And again, it was maybe whatever it is, 30, 45-minute flight. And they pop you right down, and then you don't have to go through McCarran, which is obviously the big, Vegas airport, and the chaos trying to get a cab. And then on this end, you don't have to go through Sky Harbor. They go to like Dallas. They're starting to do a few more places as well. But anyways, I had never done it before. My buddy told me about it, and we booked. It's like $300 each way, which is really not that much more than a typical round trip flight if you do Southwest Air, but you skip everything else. So anyways, we did JSX. Dustin, who we all know, who played in the scramble against us, he was just hanging out, and he was texting me about golf, and I was like, by the way, I'm going to your favorite place, Vegas, and he's like, fuck it, I'll drive over there and meet you, because I think he's LA. So he drove like 3 or 4 hours and hung out with us a couple nights in Vegas. So it was a great little weekend. And again, that's just completely new when you move out west, that Vegas is accessible like that. It was like going to Boston. I mean, from New York, it was very easy.
What a weekend.
Yeah.
Sounds pretty good.
It was a great time. Lovely experience. One thing I wrote down, I always do little notes. I put notes down. I was going to say it's insane how often we just trust total strangers with our lives. And I thought about that on a couple different instances. One was on my flight home. And obviously you're having a little bit of the scaries, the shakes, all that. You're coming back from Vegas after a weekend. But I was just thinking, like, when you get on an airplane, man, like, there's so many people that you are fully trusting with your life that you've put full control out. Obviously, the pilots are a big one, but I'm talking the pilots of your plane, the pilots on every other plane, right? Like if they just mess up and like run into your plane, it's over. All of the air traffic control people, there's planes taking off, flying, landing, circling, doing all kinds of crazy stuff. So that air traffic controller needs to be like on their game. And then when you get out, you get in an Uber, you trust the Uber driver. Then when that Uber driver drives through a fucking green light, he's just trusting that like the other people are going to stop at that red light and not just drive through it and run into you and just eliminate you instantly. So I just was having a little bit of a epiphany, kind of thinking about, holy shit, what are we doing out here? Just all day, every day, you entrust so many total strangers. And we all know people are idiots. We're idiots. Right? Other people out there are idiots. People on the internet are idiots. And if any one of these idiots just fucks up, it's over. And there's nothing we can do about it. Nothing.
Modern society depends on it.
That's also just, there's no way of getting around life without, I think every part of your life, unless you're in a dark, enclosed room, is relying on other people. Like something as simple as, even when you're in that dark, enclosed room, my neighbor right now could just be negligent about their hot water heater or their boiler, and they could just fucking blow their house up and blow mine up just from them being fucking stupid. Or I could fucking walk into my apartment building and some guy could have not checked like a wire was burning through, and you're going to have an electrical fire from the next fucking room over, and like Trent's going to burn to death in his sleep. Or
in the city, it's crazy. The city, those things are just so compounded that it's like
who knows what's happening next to Trent right now?
Right,
who knows?
He's got no idea.
A guy could have a fucking gun through. A guy could have a gun just point at the other side of that fucking door. Trent has no idea who's in that room next to him.
Shout out law enforcement and first responders for keeping chaos to a minimum.
You have to rely on other people. Totally.
Self-policing is massive.
Long.
100%. I was at like a little moment of road rage the other, and I didn't mean to, but I flicked this guy, and then he started like, you know, he was like right next to me, looking at me, and
Those
actually
are
I had a
great.
similar thought.
You're pretty interactive with other drivers, though, I would say, generally.
I like to keep things moving, and if someone's going 55 in the slow lane or in the fast lane, like we're gonna have a little bit of an issue with that. Like we're trying to get to where we need to get to. Anyways, this guy like pulled up to the side of me, then pulled in front of me, and then like pulled behind me, then cut me off, then came back in, and I had a similar thought. I was like, this guy could just like pull out a gun and just like
Yeah.
look like right, and then just right through the side of my head, I'm dead. My car swerves, hit the guardrail, and like and this guy just, you know, he drives. Nobody's finding this guy. So that there's craziness out there, I will say, and let's hope it doesn't happen too much.
A couple things. One, quickly, I live right by the UN, and 2 weeks ago, a guy had a shotgun up to his throat walking back and forth. It was on the news. It was everywhere. It was crazy. I was at work. So there's crazy people everywhere. And also, we had a funny conversation on Friday Night Pints recently where we were talking about our friends. Like, we're at the age now where we probably each know somebody's a doctor, somebody's a lawyer, and you would never go to them for legal advice or medical advice because you've been through everything with them. You know what they're like. You've been to parties with them. You went to college with them. You've seen them do incredibly stupid things. But then we got to thinking about, like, any doctor or lawyer that you go to for this advice is the buddy of someone that they grew up with, and they're all idiots. Everyone is an idiot for the most part. Like, that lawyer that you're trusting or that doctor that you're going to give you medical advice is the friend of someone who has seen them do crazy shit, like in college or in high school or whatever. So you're just depending on these people that you think because of their job are super smart and all that, and they are to a degree, but they've also done crazy shit in the past. So you're just going to these people hoping that you get the right advice.
Yeah, that's a great way of looking at it.
You know what I mean?
Sometimes I think about myself like, man, I'm a piece of shit. And then I remember, so is everybody else. Like, everybody else is a piece of shit. Like, we're all just pieces of shit. There's like 10 good people in the world, right? Like, we all know one person that like we grew up with or a family member that you're like, how is that person even real? Like, that they're just too nice. They must have something going on behind closed doors or something. So yeah, it's scary when you think about all these people we trust. It's specifically like my elbow doctor. Like, who knows what the fuck that guy's doing when he goes home? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. Brain surgeons, heart surgeons, like your heart's in someone's fucking hand. That guy could have been, I don't know, he hit a triple bogey at this local country club last week and helicoptered his club into the fucking street and hit a whole old woman. Like, who knows what the fuck happened?
I got a fresh shave the other day from this old man. It was a lovely old spot.
That was a weird post too. Your post shave fucking, you went woo, and your face was all red. That was a weird post.
So it's almost like the Russian bath situation where he put like 9 really nice, comfortable hot towels on my face. So it is an incredible experience of getting a fresh shave with a single razor. However, the trust that you give a human being to take a single blade razor against your neck, and this was the first time I ever done so, is it takes a little bit. I mean, there was a couple times where I was like, hold on, I'm not ready for this because, I mean, he's an older gentleman, single, like very steady hand. However, I'm just thinking like, is it worth it? Like, this feels great, but we're talking a single blade right against my neck. Yeah, it might have been a weird post.
What if he coughs? What if he coughs? What if he sneezes?
God. You got to feel that coming. Yeah, I'm gone. It's over for me. It's a crazy experience, but I would say, it is one of the most comfortable, relaxing 30 to 40 minutes of my life. It was like having a full body massage. It was absolutely incredible. Hot towel after steam, after deep breaths into this lovely it was tremendous.
And that's honestly the lesson at the end of all this where, yes, Riggs is right, Frankie's right, like, we depend on so many people that we don't know, and it's crazy and it's scary that we do it. But then when you do stuff like that, you get a shave like that, or you go to a Russian bathhouse, or you go to a hockey game that's, far away or whatever, you end up having a good time, and it's mostly fine for the most part.
Yeah.
Things are going to happen, but it's mostly fine.
It's fine until it's not, and then when it's not, but you're not even around to see it.
I would say an enormous number of things go just fine all the time.
Right, otherwise we'd be living in anarchy, which sometimes it feels like we are. But for the most part, things work out.
And when it doesn't work out, we won't even be around to see it.
True. Well, we're kind of talking about being pieces of shit. I've been working, thinking about working out, not working out enough. I wanted to get in shape. We talk about getting in shape forever. Lurch is doing juice cleanses. He's trying to just completely stun his body into a better existence. A lot of times you don't have time to get in the gym. Echelon, okay? Echelon brings the gym home. When you're trying to reach your fitness goals, it can really help to have world-class instructors. Nicole Griffin, Michael Brown, choreographing classes with music from your favorite artists. Echelon is the affordable way to get the workout equipment, the workout community, and an instructor's motivation right in the comfort of your own home. Echelon's fitness app provides you thousands of live and on-demand classes with great music from your favorite artists. With Echelon, you can work out anytime, day or night, and crush your fitness goals. Just pick your class, climb the leaderboard, cheer each other on, and give it your all. Echelon certified fitness instructors are supportive, engaging, and fun. They really know how to get you moving. Around-the-clock classes for the family, including full-body workout programs that keep you coming back. One membership covers a family of 5. Nice deal. Right now, for a limited time, podcast listeners get up to $800 off MSRP. To get this exclusive podcast discount, $800 off. Text Fore, F-O-R-E, to 818181. Okay, so you text F-O-R-E to 818181 to get up to $800 off MSRP. Again, text Fore to 818181. Message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. But yeah, up to $800 off. I mean,
wow.
I don't care what. I don't care what you're getting. That seems like
that's a lot of money.
I think you have to get that. I don't.
And we're talking about
the service doesn't matter. The product doesn't even matter. It's just you have to do that. I think you're crazy if you don't do that. Okay. What else do I have on my little list here? We could do From the Gallery. You guys want to do a little From the Gallery action?
I like that this has just been a recap of our lives.
Yeah, no, 1 hour. I got my timer at 1 hour and 6 minutes, and we haven't said one word about golf.
No. We had a quick thing about Tiger playing. I think it was 10 to 12 seconds of it. I will say quickly.
That's the secret sauce, boys and girls, okay? You're tuning into this podcast right here. Yep. If you don't like that, get the fuck out of here.
How about this? Highest ranked golf podcast on iTunes, and we haven't said a word about golf in 1 hour and 6 seconds.
Oh, that's so good. I saw a quick note, though, about the F1 to keep it away from the word of golf.
There we go. I don't want to say one fucking word about that sport today.
No.
I'll tell you this. Lurch. No, I'll get into that with you. I got to say that you can't tweet 24 hours later that you just saw what happened. You might as well tweet that a year later.
That went viral yesterday.
You just tweeted like, we landed on the moon. You just did that. Like that was pretty much what happened.
So I don't think my brand on Twitter will ever be breaking news. Maybe I'll get some, on Twitter. Maybe very rarely will I be the guy to break a news story. We went to, I actually posted a picture of the childhood rink I grew up playing on. It's just fantastic. It's on top of the hill. It's very cool outside rink. We were having some beers and there was like a general skate, and actually the ice melted because it was outside and like 65 in Jersey. So the general skate was gone. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there you go. But my buddy started telling me about this F1, and I didn't do anything about it that afternoon. And then this morning I watched like the 8-minute recap of the race. Oh. That is the most absurd thing I've ever heard, where they just changed the rules to make it somewhat competitive in the final lap, but they just screwed Lewis. And then Max just went right around him and won the race. It was the stupidest outcome I've ever seen of just totally subjective. Oh no, we're going to do this.
So essentially, Lewis Hamilton.
We're being honest on this podcast. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
All right, so Lewis Hamilton, this is the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. So it's the last one, the championship, the World Series, the Super Bowl of F1 season. Lewis Hamilton had a commanding lead the whole entire day. And going into the final lap, or one of the last few laps, I think it may have been, there was a crash. And in between Lewis was a couple of lapped cars, and then there was Max Verstappen behind him, right? But Max was behind a couple of lapped cars where he would never overtake that many cars by the time he got to Lewis, and then Lewis was just going to cruise to victory.
And the lapped cars, right? There's a lot of etiquette in that, like, yes, cars and teams are so bad that they literally get lapped, right? Like, you get lapped. And it's kind of proper etiquette for a lot of the lapped cars when guys are contending for to win the fucking race, to get out of the way or to at least like not make it a fucking challenge for the guys to pass you, because you shouldn't be impacting the top 3 or 4 finishers because you're getting lapped.
Right. So there was so that goes into account to the decision making, because there was a crash and they decided that once they were going to resume the racing, that they were resetting the field. So taking the lapped racers and bringing them to the back. So now it's Lewis Hamilton in 1, Max Verstappen in 2. He's right behind Lewis Hamilton to start. He has all the chances in the world in one lap to overtake him and win the race.
And he had fresh tires. Lewis didn't do a tire change because he was like, no, I've got this gap. There's no way that he'll be able to get to me. And then in instant, they were just like, no, we're going to let these cars advance. And it's going to be basically like a 1 lap season-long race. Yeah, shootout between these 2 cars.
Yeah.
And it left the Mercedes team. So Lewis is part of the Mercedes team. Max is part of the Red Bull team. It left the Mercedes team speechless. I mean, it was an outrageous ruling. It is an outrageous ruling to put on that race.
Now, I'm not a Formula One super fan, so I don't really know, but they're saying it's a very uncommon ruling, but it obviously is a ruling that they can do from time to time, right? Like they've done that before.
Right. That's where I was having a hard time making a judgment, because I don't know the rules well enough. It sounded like enough people on Twitter were defending it by posting screenshots of the rule book, basically, where it didn't seem like they didn't just make up something that they don't do. It's been done before, and it happens in this scenario. So I was really kind of in a weird spot where because half the people were saying they just handed the title to Max Verstappen, who, because they wanted him to win. And then there's all this history of Lewis Hamilton and him being very public about certain stances and against certain things, which is awesome. And he obviously has that right. But is there a bigger power that was trying to say fuck you to him and steal the title from him because of more underlying issues? And so I didn't watch it live, and I just watched the fucking Netflix documentary like most of us. And so for me to be like, oh yeah, that rules violation there was, I just don't know enough about it.
Right. I was going to say, ask me in 2 years when I watch it unfold on Netflix. Then I'll have a real opinion about it. Because
99% of the world will do. You know what I mean?
What?
They're all going to be in your shoes where they're just waiting for the Netflix series to explain exactly, because we don't really know the ins and outs of fucking Formula One without the Netflix series. If you ask me to watch if you ask me on a Sunday morning to watch Formula One and think I'm going to know all the ins and outs of it without watching the documentary, you're insane.
Right. I follow this sport 2 years behind. When it's happening on the show, that's when it's happening for me.
Yeah. And that next season will be not to be believed because of just how much drama that unfolded this year.
It needs to happen for me where they have a narrator explain every single detail of what I'm witnessing.
Yeah. Agreed. And they will.
They gotta have that for every sport, man. They have to have a Netflix series for every sport.
Well, they don't fuck up the golf one.
I said the PGA Tour. They're doing one for the PGA Tour.
Which is huge. We haven't heard anything about that recently, right? What players have signed on? Have they started filming?
No, but we've heard from a few players that said that they got they kind of do like a weird feeling out interview with some of them of if they'd be interested in how it might go. But no, outside of that, I haven't heard anything about, which I think is good. They should keep it a little bit secretive, right? You don't want them to roll out every detail before the show even comes out. But yeah, hopefully they don't fuck it up.
They somehow picked the perfect sport in that. And I don't know what their relationship is to the media, like F1 guys versus the media or whatever that's like, but it seems like they get pretty much all the access they want. And that's what you need for something like that. The worry with, a PGA Tour one or any sort of American-based sport is that their relationship with the media usually isn't that great, and they don't want to open up to the degree that the F1 teams seem to have for that show.
Right. The F1's access is essentially having the access to John Rahm, Justin Thomas, and Rory McIlroy in the PGA, and going home with them, talking with their managers, seeing how they feel after losing a tournament, stuff like that. That would be outrageous access. I mean, they have the best racers, all of the racers in F1 just signed on.
And one thing they did incredibly well with Drive to Survive is that they started with Daniel Ricciardo and some of the middle of the road-ish stuff. And Lewis Hamilton and Mercedes and them were almost Darth Vader, where they were very mysterious. You didn't he just kept winning, and they didn't even really discuss the details of him winning. It was more these other teams fighting for fucking 7th and this stuff. And then all of a sudden, one episode, they just hit you with everything. And it like starts with Lewis Hamilton sitting down in the chair, and you're like, oh, I'm going to get an entire episode or 2 episodes. And he's like going back with his team and apologizing if they didn't win a race. And it's like heated. And so if they could do that, you're right, where if they could hit you with, they get the Kisners and the Max Homas, and it's pretty entertaining. And then all of a sudden, one episode, it's like Rory McIlroy going through him reading Zen books and then coming out on top in a major or something. That would do everything for golf that it's done for F1. I would.
Yeah,
think.
I remember when you were explaining F1 to me before this Drive to Survive, before I started watching it, it felt like Game of Thrones. Like you start in Winterfell and you hear like whispers about the Lannisters and all these other territories, and you're like, man, I wonder what that's actually like. And then fucking Cersei Lannister sits down and like, here's what it's like to be the ruler of the 7 kingdoms. Like if they could somehow make it that way for golf. But like I said, it seems like golfers, PGA Tour players' relationship with the media and every American sport isn't great. And like the access doesn't seem like it's possible.
Yeah, you'd almost need like Tiger back in his heyday. Like, like where he was just winning all the time. He was like that Mercedes team, and you just like heard whispers of Tiger and all the other players trying to like capture. Too bad he's not in his heyday anymore, because that would be perfect. But yeah, you need something like that where golf doesn't really have that today.
No, it doesn't. It does not. And again, if Tiger was still in his heyday, they wouldn't need this Netflix special, because everybody would just be watching golf all the time and going crazy for Tiger, and nobody else would matter. But yeah, if you could get that, I mean, imagine if they hit you with an episode of Tiger Woods after, when he's like restarting and showing up at the Masters or St. Andrews for the British Open or something like that. Again, possibilities are endless. That's why I say I hope it delivers. I hope it doesn't disappoint. Barstool Golf Time app delivers. If you haven't used that, you're a moron. You are missing out. You're missing out on all kinds of tee times, rates, deals, and then points, rewards. You can get dinners, hang out, rounds of golf with us, merchandise, all kinds of good stuff by using the Barstool Golf Time app. Reviews. Okay, now through the end of the year, we are having double point rewards rewarded to folks when they submit course reviews. So again, do it for your fellow golfer, your fellow man, woman, friend of the game who likes to get out and book tee times. Leave reviews when you go to a course. Tell them how the greens are, how the staff was, how the bar was, how the tee boxes are, if the place is aerated, not aerated, if the views are great, if they're overrated from the pictures on the website, whatever. Leave course reviews, earn points to get, like I said, discounted merchandise, tee times, prizes, rewards, things with us, all kinds of good stuff. Use the Barstool Golf Time app to book your tee time. It's what I use. I go and I review. I post these videos of golf courses all the time. That's literally how I figure out what courses to go use, is I jump on the Barstool Golf Time app, pick a course, check out the information from reviews that other folks have left. You can rate it 1 through 5 stars, all the good bells and whistles that you want on a review app. And then I book my tee times that way. So if we're doing it, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, you need to book a tee time. Why not use the one that's going to give you rewards to win cool stuff at the end? It's as simple as that.
It's that simple. So use the Barstool Golf Time app. I know you're still sneaking in rounds of golf. I know as long as there's not snow on the ground, you motherfuckers are getting out there. You're dusting off the clubs. And you're playing a little bit of cheese. So again, use the Barstool Golf Time app to do it, because if you don't, you're just giving up a bunch of things that you could otherwise get. All right, boys and girls. I think we've successfully talked the less percentage of golf on the show that we've ever talked.
Hour
we've ever
17
discussed.
Minutes? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hour 17 minutes. Record.
Now, I will say that if it weren't for the fact that I think our last two of our last 3 episodes, we talked about Tiger Woods the entire time. And if you want a little bit more, the beauty of us, right? We're dynamic motherfuckers. That's what we do. Is that 4 shows ago, we did 2 straight hours with Harry Higgs talking as much golf as you could possibly talk. So sometimes you get Vegas trips and Islander games, and you get the randomness of taking a flight and how somebody could just kill you at any moment. Other times you get really hard hitting golf stuff. I think as we get closer to Friday and Saturday and Sunday, which is going to be our Thursday show, which we're going to have the 3rd episode of the Band and Travel series, Sheep Ranch. You're probably going to get a lot more Tiger stuff from us on Thursday. But right now, I feel like we're sort of in a holding pattern. We know it's coming. Bracing myself for how exciting it's going to be watching Tiger Woods hit a golf ball. We can get all into that on Thursday.
Yeah, I mean, Kokrak won, right? So congratulations.
Yeah, and Kevin Na.
And Kevin Na. So yeah, congratulations to those guys. Way to go. Islanders won, so more important than that. I had a question for you guys that I was talking about with my buddies a little bit, and maybe we can do a quick little debate on this. But if you could go back and see one sports moment, or maybe be there for golf, like one sports tournament, not just a moment, but like there for the event, what would it be? And this is not, you can't go back to this point in time because of where your life was at. It would just be like you right now would go into a teleportation system and you just get to be there for it. Would it be like 2000 Tiger? Like what do you want to be there for?
I think if it were the full, if you could do for like a full year, it would be probably from Tiger winning the US Open in 2000 to Tiger winning the Masters in 2001, because all I've heard about is that hype, those 8 months from when Tiger won 3 majors in a row to 2000 until when he was going to have the chance for the Tiger Slam. And April, like, I didn't consume any of that. I wasn't like into golf like I am now. Whatever I was fucking 13 years old, 14 years old, and just not as plugged in, focused, whatever. I think experiencing that, where again, everybody says that's the only thing that was ever talked about. That's the only question anybody ever got was Tiger Woods, is he going to win 4 majors in a row? And then he went out in 2001 at the Masters with all that and beat Ernie Els and Phil Mickelson and David Duval down the stretch and won the Masters. I think experiencing that as Tiger fans would be as good as it gets.
Yeah, I think that has to be where you would go, because you look back on it now and you're just reading stats off a stat sheet. And like, that's obviously super impressive. You see the leaderboards, the numbers are crazy. But once you get older and you realize that media coverage really does contextualize a lot of what's going on, and it steers the experience. Like, you can go back and look at all the stats of all the old Super Bowls, but like, you're just looking at who won and who lost. It's really, you get nothing from it, but actually living through it. And now that we've lived through a few other big sports, or just even historical things in general, you realize that all of the talk surrounding it, everyone, what their opinion is, the questions they're asking, that's actually where you pull the experience from. Just looking at numbers isn't nearly the full experience. So I think getting to live through that stretch of Tiger, which is the most dominant he's ever been, like, you'd take a lot more away from it, other than, oh, he won 4 majors in a row.
We've lived with that with Tom Brady, like right now,
right?
Like this, my living of being like actually understanding the GOATness has been Tom Brady. Well, too young for Michael Jordan, way too young for Tiger Woods.
But like, Frankie, I'm surprised. Would you not go back to the 80s and watch it? Like my jump to right away, like, yes, on the golf side, it would be Tiger, but for just a human being, I was able to be, a college individual when the Giants won the Super Bowl. That was awesome. But if I was of this age for the 94 Stanley Cup run for the New York Rangers, that would just be the jump to. Like,
with the guarantee in the Game 7.
We will win tonight. Like, the whole thing, that would just be bingo. Where, like, if you could be your age now and the Isles were just turning the page on 1979 and going, like, you're just having the best 5 years of telling everybody to go F off of you, like,
crazy. Tell my dad if I saw 4 Stanley Cups in a row in my 20s like my dad did, I don't know if I'd be alive right after. Like,
right. I mean, yeah, that's...
Well, so here's the thing that I was going back and forth on. Like, my question was, you're going into a teleportation system, you're going to teleport there and you're going to experience it. Do you get that same feeling of just being there and seeing the Stanley Cup when you didn't get to experience the ride, right? Like, I'm saying you get one event to go to. And am I just going to go to Game 5 at the Nassau Coliseum? Yes, I would love to see a Stanley Cup happen at the Nassau Coliseum. That's my dream. But would it mean as much to me knowing, like, I already know they won because I just hopped into a portal and I'm just going to go back and see it? And number 2, like, do I experience that same love by just being in the building, like watching everyone else cry? I'll probably get swept up in the fucking emotions, but...
Then it's the 1980 Miracle game. Like... US versus Russia. That's
right,
just like,
I was going to say, like, do you want to go see Babe Ruth? Do you want to go see Babe Ruth like break the home run fucking record at the time? Like, what did that look like? Like, I don't know what the best event to open up the portal to and you just go and witness it.
I think without question, I jumped to the 1980 Miracle game, us versus Russia. Like,
that's a good one.
You're really talking different countries, the social climate, like everything. And this team is just sweeping through the NHL, like taking these people down as like little pawns. And now they play this like almost college all-star team. That would be it, I think.
But again, the storyline affects that, though. The lead-up affects that day.
Right, but if you're in a portal, you kind of know that information. If you're saying that I already know the outcome,
yeah,
like
you do
have that
you do.
backstory, you just don't get to see all the games prior.
Fun fact about that is that game was tape recorded and they put it on, later that night, which is really, really wild to think about.
Crazy.
So people on the radio knew.
I'm 15 minutes late for a Barstool Classic meeting. Everybody's waiting for me, so unfortunately, I think I have to go.
Okay, that sounds about right. Well, hit it hard, boys.
All right.
Hit it hard.
So sorry. You guys keep talking. I don't care. You guys do whatever you'd like.
Frankie, finish your point. Wait, Riggs, you go ahead. Frankie can finish.
I got to go.
All right.
See you
later.
Riggs.
I don't know. See you later, Riggs. I don't know. And now, I was just kind of like, I was kind of saying I don't know until he left. Now we can talk shit about him. That guy.
I am jealous that he got to see Nate Bargatzi live because we have not done that yet.
It's awesome.
I'm very jealous of that.
That guy doesn't know a good band if it smacked him in the fucking face. Dierks Bentley. I'm just kidding.
There we go.
I actually like Dierks Bentley.
I got a long ride today, Frankie. What should I listen to? I actually have to pick up a cop cruiser and drive it from Pennsylvania to, I guess, DC area, pretty much. Good bands. Any good recs on the trip?
Well, you've listened to Sturgill Simpson, right?
Oh yeah, I love him. Like when you said that, I was like, oh my God, he's so good. So, and that could be because I have to go to Pennsylvania and then down, but it's mostly like through Pennsylvania into DC, and it feels like I'll be kind of in the backwoods trees. And I'm thinking, Sturgill
you should listen to his new album.
There.
His new album front to back. Like what is it, old dude? What is it called?
Dude and Juanita.
Dude and Juanita. If you listen to it from song 1 to song whatever it is, 12, it's a whole story. You'll like it.
All right, I'll do that.
There you go.
Yeah, I like that. That gives me something to look forward to. We got a trip on our hands.
To kind of finish off that discussion, I don't know what the right choice is. I think I would go for a Sunday for Tiger Woods to win the Masters, like 2001. You know what I mean? Like that, like what Riggs was saying. The final cap of the Tiger Slam, just to be there and actually watch him. If I got front row access on the other side of the ropes, inside the ropes access for Tiger Woods, a 2001 type Tiger Woods, come on.
Now, in a silo, would you say, I'd almost say like the 2019 Sunday Masters win would almost be better in a silo than like if you already know that he won by X amount of strokes or whatever the case may be?
No, I want to see how he played back then. I want to see the difference. Like, or maybe I picked the one where he won the U.S. Open by, what was it,
for
like
just
14 strokes? Like, how much better was he than everyone else to kind of be there firsthand experience?
That's true.
But, I think a lot of caveats to that question with, like, you already know the outcome. But
right.
I think there's a lot of different ways to go about it. And, yeah, we were just talking about it over a beer. And there's a lot of moments in history where you're like, man, it'd be really cool to see it and just see the difference in, like, what it is today, right? Like, they were still human beings. Like when you watch a Babe Ruth, the reason why it came up is because that clip of Babe Ruth walking to the fucking batter's box the other day came out, and you're like, man, those were actually real people. Like when you see this black and white footage of these old school, whether they're TV shows, movies, or sports, they don't look like real people. They're like moving in fast motion because everything was like sped up with the film, and you don't picture them as like a bunch of guys sitting there saying, "Who do you think's gonna fucking win today?" You know what I mean?
Right.
You don't picture them as people.
No, you weirdly don't. And you go back, their clothes are much different, and like maybe the way, like the things that they're talking about are different because different things are happening in the world.
Different culture, yeah.
But they're the same. Like
there's people.
100 years later, they're still at Yankee Stadium. There's still people there.
Right. So
it's crazy. I think you just think of them as legends though. You know what I mean? Like, and you like when that video came out of that little clip, like, then you like, I would think about my dad and like different generation and him being at the ballpark. Like that hit me from a bunch of different wavelengths. It was, you are right. It like brought them to life though. Like it was like, wait, these people actually did live and move around. And my brother and I
They're
were
not
talking
just pictures
about that the other day. Yes. Like
right,
my brother and I were talking
Ruth,
about that.
Babe Ruth is the mythical creature. Like he,
my God.
in all of sports, he's number one.
Totally.
Just, yeah.
My brother and I were talking about just like a little bit different, but you think of your grandparents or your great grandparents, you might have a crazy old picture of them, that's weathered and a little bit like almost was ripped and somebody taped it back together and like, no, this is your great great grandmother. And it's like, oh my God. 2 generations removed from us are just going to see HD footage of like us idiots like talking on this podcast or with your sister.
Oh, great grandpa Frankie was smacking his asshole with the horns and Alps. Okay, I don't know what the fuck my great grandfather was doing.
Yeah, no, all this stuff is recorded and it's HD video. They're going to be
fortunate too.
100 years from now, they're going to be talking about whatever medium that they're talking about golf on, and they're going to be like, "Look at these assholes."
I wonder what that's going to do to our civilization.
Frankie's not worried about his like great great grandchild that's trying to be a doctor, but like as we overcome like the kid that you knew that's now trying to be a doctor but was a total screw up in grade school, he's trying to right the wrong for Frankie's just human brand cursing and talking about nothing.
Dude, I just wonder what that's going to do to civilization, because civilization is what it is because of those generations that grew up of us not knowing anything that they did, and we just kind of all just fall in line and do our own thing, and we live the way the world's supposed to be. Now there's so much access to know so many more things about the people that you grew up for, like that raised you. Like, dude, my kids aren't going to listen to a fucking word I say because they're going to be like, look at all the shit you did. You know what I mean? Like, there's no way of being able to move forward from what we've done in our generation. Like, my parents are able to be like, go to school. Like, that's the right thing to do. Because I can't be like, well, you didn't fucking go to school. I could see you on TikTok. You were on TikTok every single day. Like, they're going to be able to say that to us, man.
I'm hiding this for my kids if I ever have kids to the day I die. Just like, never, nope. Mm-mm.
Fuck, dude. That's going to be scary. Well,
that is.
I'm going to go eat a tuna melt. And something nasty with it, maybe a Coca-Cola.
Oof, sounds so good. I got a lot of comments on what I ate the other day. A lot of people saying that I got to shape up. I did just finish a 5-day juice cleanse, and then I posted a picture of myself after a Saturday morning workout. I thought I was going to die. I was so tired because Trent, we talk about all the time of we're not made for long distances.
That's right.
So I went with my brother. We're trying to like get healthier. It's a kind of a pitch for us. He had back surgery. He's trying to get a healthier body. We went to the gym for like 2 hours from 6 a.m. to 8 a.m. Saturday morning.
Wow.
And I was kind of done an hour and a half in. I was like, how much time do I left, or how much time do you have left to finish up what you need to do? He's like, another half hour. So I went to the treadmill. And I'm not made to run like, 3-5 miles, just like consistent, just like running. So I try to do like interval sprints. And I was cranking that treadmill up to like 10 and a half, full out sprints. And then I would dumb it down and walk for, 0.5 of a mile, whatever the case may be. I was, I thought I was going to die, but my heart was pounding through my chest. So, try to eat less, try to be a little healthier as we go into this new year.
We all got to shape up. We all just got to shape up.
We do.
That's it.
I also want to say that, something's in my throat. Yep. That when we asked people to unsubscribe, resubscribe, and leave 5 stars, that we did see a little bit of an uptick in the activity on iTunes charts. So, again, if you've made it 1 hour and 32 minutes and 33 seconds, which is on my thing, I don't know if that's exactly the time on your spot here, but go ahead, go to the iTunes, click unsubscribe, resubscribe, and then leave a 5-star review. It makes a big difference, man. These other fucking podcasts, they get on their hands and knees and they coddle your nutsack and ask you to do the same thing. We've only been doing this for 2 weeks asking this. So it's the holiday season. It's the season of giving. It's the season of thanks. So give us a nice 5-star review. Make sure you unsubscribe, resubscribe, send it to your best friend. Tell them to do the same thing. Go to the Apple store and subscribe to Foreplay on all the model phones. I know that's a big move.
Yep.
Some people like to do. So that's about it for me. I got a fucking tuna melt coming. So
jealous.
Yeah, I think that's it for me.
Anything else from you guys or what?
No, I love that. It's a good wrap up message there. Happy holidays. Appreciate the gift if you could give us one. Hopefully you got a laugh somewhere in this podcast. It certainly wasn't about golf. So
No.
anyways, that's where we're at. That's Foreplay Golf. It is kind of funny saying we're like a golf podcast. It'd be like something super popular. Like, I don't know, let's say like we were a croquet podcast, you know, it's like, but you just talk about something that like F1 or something that's super popular and you just label yourself a croquet podcast. It's like, yeah, we're just the number one, just trolling them. It's like, well, you never fucking talk about croquet. Like, this is bullshit.
We are a representation of what's going on in the world of golf. We're not going to force it. You know what I mean? Like,
totally.
We could dig and like really try to talk about what happened last week and like, but that's just like not what people honestly want to hear about.
Here's the thing. Here's the real breakdown.
Doesn't care. Why are we talking about it?
Here's the real breakdown: is that we're four buddies that like to golf, and we're just gonna turn on the mics, and whatever we're talking about is what four buddies who like to golf talk about. That's just a fact because we are.
Right.
We enjoy golfing. We like talking about it, but at this moment, there's really not much to talk about, so we don't talk about it. Just like anyone else that likes to talk about golf isn't talking about golf right now. I'm never ever gonna go online and try and dig to find something about the game of golf and bring it to this podcast. I refuse. If it comes and hits me in the face, or if I genuinely want to go watch it and see it and it comes naturally, I will then talk about it, which is what we talk about for 51 weeks of the year.
Right.
But for some of these fucking weeks that there's nothing going on, I'm not gonna stretch
this is the
out
dead
here.
season right here. I mean,
It's fucking December 13th. Who the fuck is talking about professional golf on December 13th? Justin Thomas and all them are at weddings. They're not playing golf ever.
Happy birthday,
4 or
Ricky
5
Fowler.
days from now. Yeah, that's true. 4 or 5 days from now, it's just like, it's pretty much a major, you know? So
It's major time. 4 or 5, yeah. Yeah, it's going to be next Tuesday's podcast, recapping Tiger Woods playing golf, will be the most golf-centric podcast you've ever heard in your entire life.
Correct.
That's right.
Yeah.
All right, boys.
It's got to drive the competition fucking crazy when they look at the leaderboards and be like, what the fuck did these guys talk about this week? And then they listen to this thing and they're like, Jesus Christ, you made me fucking break down the Q School Sunday tournament last week for an hour and a half. These guys are talking about Dierks Bentley.
How cold the Coca-Cola is at the UBS arena. God damn.
What the fuck are we doing over here?
It's a different game.
All right.
That's the beauty.
That
Hit it
is
hard, right?
Hit it hard, boys.